support have been reaching out to me about guilt. And this has recently come across my field, my table, my toolkit, and it's the I Ching, the Oracle of the Cosmic Way. And this explains guilt in such a powerful way that it's completely redefined how I interpret guilt, how I've seen it and used it and experienced it in ways that's navigated my life, made me do things that I wasn't willing to do, betrayed my own internal truth. And guilt is pernicious, and by pernicious I mean it does damage over time, where it might feel innocent in the beginning, but really it's actually it's keeping a lot of our systems and our institutions in place. And it all starts with the individual and learning how to say the internal no, which will be touched on in this as I read directly from I Ching, the Oracle of the Cosmic Way. Guilt, blame and shame. Guilt as a permanent stain that has been laid upon human nature is primarily a Western concept, which the sage informs us has no cosmic basis. It is connected with the story of the fall of Adam and Eve from paradise and with human sexuality as the cause of original guilt or sin. Throughout the feudal history of the West, guilt has mostly served as the collective ego's instrument to control the behaviour of the individual. While there is no evidence that the Chinese had the concept of guilt, most of the writers of the Confucian school nevertheless looked at human animal nature as the main reason humans have deviated from their original good nature. That idea is also behind the Taoist religion's emphasis on mental control of the body. Both the idea of guilt and the idea that human animal nature is the source of evil slander and falsely divide the wholeness of the individual's nature and lock various helpers in his psyche in spells, depriving the person of important abilities. The concept of guilt is also connected with the threats and punishments used by the collective ego to install its program of musts and must-nots in the individual's psyche. The guilt that is aroused by going against a must-not serves to reinstall its program when a person has decided to follow his inner truth. The threat of becoming guilty is connected with the image of an inextinguishable stain put upon his person, one which excludes him forever from social acceptance. The Chinese have a similar threat in the branding phenomenon associated with shame. Shame differs from guilt in that it only involves a person's public image. A person who commits a violation will suffer shame only if the violation becomes public knowledge. Because the shame is considered to extend to his family or community, the society is obsessed with the threat of shame. A similar threat is found in the American culture in its continual rewriting of histories to cleanse the national and community memory of all negative happenings that would stain the national or community pride. Neither guilt nor shame, as defined above, have cosmic relevance. The mention of blame in the I Ching refers to cosmic blame, which is incurred when a person has betrayed or compromised his true nature. No blame can be saying that a person is in harmony with the cosmos, or that a person is incorrectly blaming himself due to judging himself by the standards of the collective ego. The sage informs us that cosmic blame is not a permanent stain, but can be extinguished at any time the person recognizes and rids himself of the mistaken idea that caused the blame. When a person does not free himself of the cause of his blame, but continues to act against his true nature, he creates a fate. Fate, as discussed earlier, can be ended in several ways. Cosmic blame is extinguished with the end of the fate. Despite the fact that a child absorbs the program of the collective ego during a time when his ability of discernment is not fully formed, he nevertheless experiences the conflict of this program with his inner truth. It is felt as a background anxiety that contains a message experienced during certain moments of youth and adolescence that following the ego program will betray his true nature. These are the first moments in which cosmic blame can be incurred. Part of the collective ego's strategy to keep the individual within its system is to occupy him with looking for someone or something outside himself to blame. It either preoccupies him with blaming himself individually, with accepting group blame, or with focusing on another individual or group as the culprit. The first step in freeing the true self is to say the inner no to the entire idea of guilt and to the term culprit, with all that it implies. Neither guilt nor culprit is part of the cosmic vocabulary, and neither has a place in the cosmic harmony. Even the collective ego is not a culprit. It is a juggernaut of ideas and institutions that maintain themselves only through our continued permission. We have the option to free ourselves of them by deprogramming them word by word, image by image, and phrase by phrase. We cannot do this, however, if we see the collective ego as a monstrous force and a culprit, for this view only energizes it and keeps it alive as an objective entity. Saying the inner no brings about the transformation needed to open all of the prison doors created by the mind. The importance of the no is in fact that it undoes the inadvertent yes we have formerly said through our acquiescence to the collective ego. Indeed, the inner no is the most direct means to remove ourselves individually from the demonic sphere of consciousness and its parallel reality, while at the same time diminishing its influences. And there's a further reading there on how to say the inner no. I'll just add something here briefly. When someone reaches out to me, particularly with their relationships with love and relationships in general, they can stay in a relationship out of guilt, and they can be obedient to their partner out of guilt. And the guilt comes from an internal image of how they need to be, or how they need to act, or how they need to show up, whether it's showing up as a husband, a father, a lover, whatever it is. There's these programs that are installed from childhood and impressed by the collective ego that keep us in these traps. So in order for someone to acknowledge that these things exist requires an inquiry into who are these images? Who have I become in order to stay safe? Who have I become that keeps me repeating these relationship cycles? So this book helps you expose at an internal level what is going on in the outer. And it's got some powerful, the most powerful tool in there is the internal no, the inner no. The inner no is something so simple and sweet that it transforms the inner landscape, and it just takes time for it to show up in the outer world. For example, saying an inner no to the part of a man that feels like he needs to continuously provide and sacrifice himself. Right? Saying an internal no to the part of me that feels like I need to listen to the collective ego on how I run my business, whether it's lead generation, whether it's advertisements, whether it's whatever it is, right? Saying an inner no to the part of me or the collective ego or the self-image in me that I need to have an incredibly musculature body in order to be loved. Saying an inner no to the part of me that feels like, or that has to pay tax, or that has to be obedient to institutions that have been created in order to install guilt. By being able to say no to these institutions and ways of being and corruption, or the demonic sphere of influence as implied by the I Ching, the Oracle of the Cosmic Way, is it naturally allows helpers, and helpers are not spirits, they're not angels, they are representations of the cosmic whole. They are fragments of the cosmic whole that that are here to do something. They're here to act on the cosmos's behalf to keep it furthered. Perseverance furthers. They're here to help us be in alignment with the cosmic whole. And guilt stops that from happening. For example, the guilt of feeling like you have to do it on your own. So you go and do it on your own and you get exhausted. But the ego gets off on the part of us that does it on our own. Right? The ego gets off on doing it plays both sides of the fence. And I was like, oh, you're useless if you can't do it on your own, and you're so great if you do it on your own, right? It plays both sides of the fence, which can keep a person trapped in the guilt and bouncing between the highs and lows of what the guilt and the collective ego and the ego will throw upon you, or you've embodied. So guilt is, as described by the I Ching, the Oracle of the Cosmic Way, is an aberration. And an aberration not being used in a pejorative sense, but it's just not part of the cosmic way. And it's been used to control children. Like, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't talk to mummy and daddy that way. You shouldn't. All the shoulds, haves, and musts are all a form of guilt and blame. And when you can detect the frequency of what guilt and shame feel like, then it gives you full permission to be whoever it is you need to be. And in particular, religion is an effective installer of guilt. And the work that I do with helping people in their relationships to find true love, helping singles find true love, is if they've come from a religious background, their animal body can be shamed. They can try and control their sexuality. They try and control the part of them that wants to act out or behave in a natural way, because the body is a representation of the cosmic way. And when you can detach yourself from the opinion that humans are the center of the universe, which the I Ching also speaks to, and it levels the playing field, that everybody is equal in measure when it comes to their presence in the universe. So in that, guilt takes away from that. Guilt will steal from you your authentic self. Guilt will steal from you being in a relationship out of genuine devotion to the other person and devotion to the self. Guilt will keep you feeling like you're not doing enough work in order to get to where you want to go. It's a pernicious device that's been turned against the human being to control them for a very long time. And I see this as changing. This version of the I Ching, it's the book of transformation, not changes. There's a fundamental difference between book of changes and book of transformation. And you might feel it in your body when I say it to you. Thank you so much for watching this, and keep an eye out for more. Mad love. Bye.